A long time ago, I remember reading, I think it was on the internet, this quote that said, "If a child can't learn the way we teach him, we had better teach him the way he learns." Hello, I'm Kathleen Purdy. I'm the director of the Alexander Society for Special Needs, and we have been running programs for children and teens for special needs for 10 years. And this whole idea started because we realized that these children who were struggling in school and in society needed something to help bring them out of themselves, to help interact and relate with other people.
So one of the most important things in preparing for this work is to find ways to invite a softening of our daily intellectual awareness and make a little more imaginative flow in the actual space. So we're looking at fabrics, we're looking at softening corners, we're looking at covering any doors, especially here we have a sign. We certainly don't want that showing because we want to get away from the workaday, everyday world into a softer, almost a dreamy space where imagination can play, where ideas can flow, where laughter can erupt spontaneously. And all of that needs to be free from some of the concrete, hard surfaces that surround us so much of the time. And there, we've transformed the space from a very ordinary, commonplace environment into a place of beauty and imagination. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has
I am grateful for my experience with the Alexander Society because it has given me tools that I can use in my gymnasium to teach my physical education classes. When we're doing galloping, I'll say, everybody put your cowboy or cowgirl hats on, and you know, you need to get your cowboy or your cowgirl boots on, and make sure you've got your saddle, and everybody's going to throw the saddle up onto the horse. Now let's climb up onto the horse. Everybody ready? Giddy up, and everybody takes off, and they're galloping.
Hi, my name's Emma Van Rooyen. I'm a photographer. That's how I became involved with the Alexander Society. I went to document some of their learning programs, and I enjoyed it so much that I ended up going back. I think the experience is wonderful for the people in the community who volunteer as well as the participants. And the creative learning process is a great way for the kids to express themselves and for the people, the volunteers in the community, to express themselves as well.
There was a moment when we were involved in a story being told. The style which the children were dressed in their costumes, the story was to unfold a certain way, according to the leaders in the room. And a young man decided, no, it was going to take a different turn. And so, much to the delight and surprise of everyone in the room, he came around the corner with a whole new idea of how the story would unfold. He was going to rescue everyone instead of them being trapped in the cave or whatever the story was. I don't remember exactly what story it was, except that it took a big turn in a direction that no one expected. And so it delighted me to no end because I saw that this young man was now truly a participant in this story. He wasn't just witnessing it or going along with what someone else had planned.
And he was going to stretch it between the tree, and then what did he do?
capture it.
He threw it over his head.
Help me out! When I first started, my mom called Kathleen, and she asked me if you would like to join the Alexander Society. I said, sure, why not? And I ever started, like I said before, when I looked back to my early childhood on the video I watched at home, it was like a little kid's movie. I looked like very little, like this little. And I was like flapping my arms and playing the xylophone. And that was quite good. We are in the circle, now we play our instruments.
Can you do it? Put your fingers through like this.
Luke did the beginning and I did, and I finished it off. Never made it before.
Well, I think that one of the most important things for me supporting Brendan was that I got to see him in a really different environment, and I got to learn different ways of how to interact with him, and he saw me not as a support worker, but as someone else in an environment and participating and just being equal and contributing something like he was contributing something.
We'll work and find a way to trick the mighty power, the goblin small, and the giant tall, and the lion guards the throne.
I didn't know it was going to be a story that evolved over the whole week, and I know for me every day I was kind of wondering what was going to happen, and I was really excited about it. I didn't know that it was going to be so many aspects, like the art and the drama and the songs. Everything revolved around this one single story.
Yes, and like we were contributing, like every day we were contributing part to the story. Like one day we all made the apple tree together and we all made the flower together.
And he takes the spear and just touches him. And he falls dead.
There was a moment one day in the program where we're all standing in the circle, the music has begun, and there are batons being passed from hand to hand around the circle. There was a shuffling of feet sound, and I looked down, and the one student who had previously always stood just behind and outside the circle was shuffling forward into the circle, and a baton was gently passed into his hand with a hand-over-hand touch and a guided pass from one hand to the other and from that hand to the next. And from that moment on, it seemed as though that particular student had become part of the group, and that's when his exploration and his development really began.
Why are we so sure that we know what the mainstream of our society is? I mean, why couldn't the mainstream of our society include a lot of people that we don't think of as mainstream at all? And why wouldn't we all be better off for that? And why couldn't they even be regarded as artists in their own right? And why couldn't it be the case that, you know, everybody gets something out of creative play? But in fact, well, what is the origin of creativity if not play?
This really is for the whole community, because after all, we are all part of the community, regardless of who we are or what our perceived abilities are.
The most important thing I learned from the story this week was that if you want something bad enough, just go for it.